Hello dear viewers, time again for the news here on Rwanda Television. My name is Sarah Shinhori. We'll begin with the headlines. The first ever UK-Rwanda Business Forum is set to begin here in Kigali. A new landmark report by Smile ID, Africa's premier identity verification service, has ranked Rwanda third on the continent when it comes to fighting identity fraud. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the details. The first ever UK-Rwanda Business Forum will be taking place this week here in Kigali, providing unrivaled opportunities for high-level dialogue and networking, bringing together UK and Rwandan business leaders, investors, and senior government officials to discuss business opportunities available for each country and the business climate here in Rwanda. The theme of the forum will be Succeeding in Rwanda, Unlocking Growth and Opportunities, and is scheduled for Monday through to Wednesday. Our colleague Sam Kalisa sat down with the British High Commissioner to Rwanda to discuss in depth what this event really means for the business communities of both countries. Take a look.
Hello there. Thank you very much for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. We are talking about the UK-Rwanda Business Forum that is gathering in a few days and is bringing together business leaders, government officials to come together to a common table to discuss available opportunities in the business sector or in the business world right here in Rwanda, but also in the UK. And we are delighted to be having the UK High Commissioner to Rwanda, His Excellency Omar Adair. Thank you very much for having us.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, thank you very much. As we begin this discussion, I would like to ask you about this upcoming forum. Would you briefly tell us about the forum and what it is bringing particularly to the business sector between the two countries, and why the interest, of course, of the UK is increasing in the trade and investment sector, particularly with Rwanda?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this forum. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this in Rwanda, and we're doing it in partnership with RDB and other parts of the government of Rwanda. And what we want to do is to really showcase what a good business environment there is in Rwanda and how many opportunities there may be for British companies to invest here. And then more generally to look at ways how we can increase the level of trade in both directions between our countries, so exports from Rwanda to the UK or vice versa. And the reason that we wanted to focus on this is that, you know, the UK and Rwanda have been very good friends for a long time. We have been working together on issues like development and education sector, on other things like that. And it's been a very successful relationship. But because we didn't have the same sort of historic relationship with Rwanda that we did with some other African partners through colonial history, that sort of thing, Rwanda was less well known by our business community, and the opportunities here were less well known by our business community. So we want to change that. We want to showcase what's on offer here, and just to build the network of connections between Rwandan companies and British companies. So we're going to have a large delegation of companies come from the UK, and not just from the UK, by the way, from other countries as well. We'll also have government representatives from our side come here. And I think this will really start the discussion that has already begun. We have some British investors here already, of course, but we really want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, to what you just ended on, how can you say it stands as of now in terms of business and trade between Rwanda and the UK, that the forum is coming to build on, of course, to take it to even a further step?
Yeah, so our trade has been growing. We're around the sort of 35 to 40 million pounds worth of trade at the moment, which is increased from where it was in the past, but there's capacity to take that up a lot further. What we have seen is that traditionally trade has been in things like tea and coffee. You know, the UK is the second biggest market for Rwandan tea, the fifth or the sixth biggest market for Rwandan coffee, second for vegetables. So we already buy a lot of that. But we see that now the way that the Rwandan economy is modernizing, is changing, there are lots of other opportunities that haven't really been tapped yet. And so we have 6 focus areas. One is agriculture, which we already talked about, but then we see it in critical minerals, which Rwanda has. We see it in infrastructure, in manufacturing, in financial and professional services, and in the green economy. But those are all areas where Rwanda itself is doing a lot, but also where the UK does a lot, and we think we can bring those connections together.
From the perspective of the UK government, why Rwanda and why right now to bring this business forum? And what do you want to see as intangibles right after this business forum?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of why Rwanda, I think it comes back to the strength of our bilateral partnership, and that's across a lot of issues. You know, Rwanda, of course, is currently chair of the Commonwealth, and for the UK, the Commonwealth is a really important family of nations where we want to see greater trade between them. So that has increased the focus on Rwanda. But we've also had really good relationships on topics like climate change, where Rwanda is a leader on those areas. And we think that, you know, the businesses that we've already seen invest here in green economy, you know, companies like Ox, which does electric vehicles, or Bbox, which does solar power, have been successful here in Rwanda and have been able to spread out. So we wanted to also highlight that as an important way that, you know, businesses can expand in Africa if they come here first. So I think that it's really that trust between the two partners that has helped encourage this forum.
And do you see Rwanda as a potential gateway to the rest of the African market for UK companies and investors? Do you see Rwanda as a gateway to these other countries that the UK hasn't really emerged on and increased its influence on the African continent?
Yeah, so I think, you know, His Excellency the President spoke about this, I think, at the National Dialogue this week in a very important way. First, that, you know, Rwanda has its challenges. Rwanda is a small country with a small market, which means that if you just look at Rwanda, there's a limited size of the investment that can be there. But what the government of Rwanda is trying to do, and we fully support this, is to look much wider than just Rwanda. This proof of concept idea that you can start your business here in Rwanda and then also take it somewhere else. And I think that's a very smart strategy. And the two companies that I mentioned earlier, Bbox and Ox, are examples who have done that, started here and expanded. Ampersand with their electric motorcycles have also done a similar thing. And you're seeing more examples of that. So the fact that you can come to a place that has a good business environment, where the government is open to foreign investors, and where RDB does a very good job of sort of helping you set up. You can get a business license very quickly. The one-stop shop has been very successful. So that, for us, I think, is a persuasive way of starting here and moving out. What I would then say is that, you know, we see the importance then of regional communities in Africa too. And Rwanda is lucky to be part of the East African community, which is a very large community, a very large market. And so, you know, we believe in greater regional cooperation and integration within that community to help expand those markets.
Absolutely. And when President Paul Kagame was in Davos previously, he met the British companies, particularly in the mining sector, which is one of the focus of the forum that you talked about. And if you can tell us more about this, what sort of results do you want to see, particularly in the mining sector, following, of course, even President Kagame meeting the British mining companies? Is there something that is already on the pipeline? And
I think that the critical mineral sector is really important in regards to our shift to a more green economy, you know, to achieve our targets on electrical vehicles, to move away from fossil fuels. You really need the sorts of minerals that are found in this part of the world. So that's why there's a lot of interest here. And you already have some British companies, mining companies, that are operating here and have been successful. And recently, and you know, they met with the president too, Rio Tinto, which is one of the largest mining companies in the world, registered in London, also has started here. And I think that is showing the momentum that we have in this sector, and we want to see that increase. But what we're also very keen on, and I know that the government here is very keen on, is that mining is done in a way that is A, sensitive to the environment, and B, benefits the local population as well, because that hasn't always been the case in this sector before. I don't mean specifically here in Rwanda, but in general. And we want to make sure that isn't the case. So I think we'll see this dialogue continue. The forum is obviously for 2 days, 3 days, so we don't necessarily expect everything to be agreed in those 2 days, but what we are committed to do is to make this the beginning of a conversation and accompany companies and investors on their partnership as they move forward.
Absolutely. As we talk about having the interest of UK or British companies emerging on the Rwandan market and expanding to the rest of Africa, what sort of opportunities are there for Rwandan companies, Rwandan business people who would like to emerge on the market in the UK? Is that possible, or it's just a one-way kind of forum that we are talking about, seeing UK companies?
We wanted to go both directions. And last year in the summer, I, alongside the Minister for Trade, launched the Developing Countries Trading Scheme that the UK offers to countries like Rwanda, which allows 99% of goods from Rwanda to be exported to the UK duty-free and quota-free, which means that it's much easier and much cheaper to export to the UK, and that's a very generous scheme. So what we think that can be used for is first increasing the amount in areas that we already trade on, so tea, coffee, vegetables and fruit, but also flowers, which is a big market in the UK. And for some reason, Kenya has for many years had a very strong hold on the flower market in the UK, but we're seeing that increase. But we also think there's opportunities in some manufacturing, which is why that's an area of focus for the forum too. You know, clothes that are made here that can be exported duty-free to the UK. And that includes it, even if all of the raw materials, they don't all need to come from Rwanda. It can be sourced from other places, put together in Rwanda and exported to the UK duty-free. But then I also think there is increasingly going to be a trade in services too, because the economy here is moving increasingly in that direction. So an area I'm particularly interested in is Kigali International Financial Centre, which is growing and is an important financial centre in Africa. And London is perhaps the most important financial centre in the world. So I see real potential for financial services, and that can go in both directions.
Absolutely. As the forum, of course, is closer than ever, I do believe as much as we want to explore available opportunities, but also it's a moment to look at the challenges that are emerging in terms of the business sector, the trade and investment, and how they can be addressed. And if you can mention some of them, what are the underlying challenges that are hindering the progress that we would want to achieve? And that of course will be discussed in this forum to see how we can move on and turn the page around to see the challenges being turned into opportunities, to see the two countries grow in terms of business and investment.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some challenges which are global and, outside of the control of either of us. Some, challenges around global transport costs and shipping have been more difficult recently. We are seeing improvements there for our bilateral partnership because there's more cargo capacity now from Rwanda going to the UK, enabling greater trade there. I think when it comes to looking at investors here in Rwanda, what we want to continue to see is really good aftercare, after service for investors when they set up here. Because as I said, I think RDB really has an excellent window into Rwanda in helping people set up and helping the businesses get going. What we want to make sure is that that great service continues all the way along, that there is, limited bureaucracy, limited red tape, that sort of thing. And I know that the government here is very committed to that as well. So I think it's important that we see a smooth journey on that side. And then, I think we also, when we're talking about the region and regional trade, we would hope for good regional relationships, and I know there's been some tensions there, but I know that governments of the region are working to diffuse those. But I think trade and companies like to see stability and peace. That's one of the things that attracts them here to Rwanda. So we would like to see more of that. And then just more generally, I think, and this is, I know, another reason that the government of Rwanda has been supportive of this forum, but Rwanda has made very rapid progress over the last 30 years. The economy is transformed. The city of Kigali is modernized. We heard at the National Dialogue lots of the good indicators that have improved over recent years. But the next stage of the journey is challenging too. And I think that needs a really vibrant and lively private sector. So I think the more that we can do to support the Rwandan private sector itself flourish and grow will help also attract greater investment from outside.
Absolutely. As we head towards the conclusion, any departing words?
Well, I'd just say that we're really excited to have so many people come here to Rwanda. And I think there are an incredible number of opportunities. And so I really want this to be the start of a long-term partnership and a long-term relationship. And we will be having in probably April or May an African Investment Summit in London, to which His Excellency the President has also been invited. So for my team, we're also seeing that as another point in this journey that we will continue to develop our relationship here.
Absolutely. British High Commissioner to Rwanda, His Excellency Maridel, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam, for that interview. Now, moving on, a report by the African technology company Smile ID, specializing in the analysis of digital biometric data, has ranked Rwanda third on the continent, following Senegal and Botswana as a country that effectively protects personal data to prevent fraud. Adams Kwizera with the details.
After entering into a purchase agreement with her brother residing abroad, Odette Kanesi faced a situation where her relative later disallowed the agreement. Subsequently, Kanesi found herself in court accused of forgery based on documents, voice messages, and texts that her relative denied. Odette Kanesi expresses, stating that Rwanda's Forensic Institute confirmed the authenticity of documents, messages, and audio recordings, affirming that they indeed belong to her. They told me that they can do that, as they first told me some of the documents needed. Then later, they investigated the route from the email, which they found that it was in use ever since 2008, with over 240 messages, as most of those messages were about the negotiation of that property. Later, they made a report, which I handed over to the court as a new evidence. Later, they evaluated that report, as I'm even expecting to find justice through it. The mentioned signs include fingerprints, handprints, facial features, eyes, and other indicators demonstrated by technology, proving that the identified person is indeed who they claim to be, as the information displayed on the computer aligns with the individual in question. Technology expert Jean-Claude Tuyisenge explains the importance of biometrics in detecting fraud and determining the location where the fraud occurred.
Biometrics are used in different ways with the different purposes, especially for identifying people to get the proof of identities, and they are used to protect data. This world is becoming more digital. We are getting into a digital world where all transactions, all activities are being done remotely. So we use those biometrics to identify people and to secure transactions, either securing both companies and individuals and users. We use those biometrics as one of the identity proofs.
An African agency specializing in fraud detection through biometric identification, Smile ID, ranked Rwanda third, following Senegal and Botswana, as a country effectively utilizing biometrics to combat fraud. Dr. Antonin Olex, the Director General of the African Institute of Science and Technology based in Kigali, also affirms that Rwanda is in good position.
We have never seen government efficiency at the level that we are seeing it in Rwanda. It makes me proud as an African. And so forensic pathologists, forensic scientists, all the different fields that we represent work together to generate valid scientific evidence, valid scientific results that we then hand over to the prosecutors, and they then go to court and prosecute their cases. And so it's important to just understand that we are one part of the system. The judges and the prosecutors are another part of the system, the courts, etc. And so together we work and form a network to serve the people of Africa, to bring justice to the people of Africa.
Due to the fraudulent use of identity and real information technology, figures from the Rwanda Investigation Bureau shows that between 2019 and 2021, there were approximately 550 complaints of cyber theft, which were reported, involving about 1.6 billion Rwandan francs and 1.38 million US dollars. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Senator Alvera Mukabaramba has been re-elected to lead the Party for Progress and Concord here in Rwanda for the next 7 years. Adams Kwizera once more.
The members of Party for Progress and Concord (PPC) conducted an election to assess its achievements, expectations for the future, and to replace many bodies of the party since the existing executive committee had reached to an end of its term. Most of the members of the party's executive committee at the national level, including its president, Dr. Mukabaramba Alvera, were once again entrusted and elected to lead the party. Want them to come close to its members, they are down, hence to increase the members in sectors and cells, especially those with the majority of youth. What we want as women is to provide with us some trainings that could help us to create jobs, since we find that most women are unemployed. The president of PPC party, Senator Dr. Mukabaramba Alvera, stated that they will continue to collaborate with other politicians in order to contribute to the development of the country in this mandate. We're about to prepare the elections that are ahead. Then, in regard with the presidential candidate, there are bodies in our party that are responsible to fund that. Those bodies are political meeting and the board of PPC. The PPC party was formed in June 2003 and has participated twice in the presidential elections.
As always, I am glad you are able to join us, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.